Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. We are now entering the third hour of our program, and we're about to enter our second discussion of the day. And we all know that waste has become a serious global issue, and Indonesia is no exception as well. And it sometimes takes a whole village to solve its waste problems, and also requiring a great deal of public knowledge and awareness about waste management programs.
Indeed, there are many, many ways to raise public awareness and knowledge on the environmental effects of waste. And just like a company that is called Navakara, they do it here, raising awareness on waste management through the 2023 Wasteless Film Festival.
Indeed, and to find out more about it, we're now going to have a chat with its founder and 2023 WLFF leader, Maureen Simatupang. Good morning, Maureen. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning.
Great to have you.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so this Wasteless Film Festival started in 2019 as a result of your and your team's fight to have people waste less since 2015. Tell us about this film festival.
Yes, it started with Navakara wanted to do education, and then we always thought that education visually would always capture better attention for people.
Yeah.
And then we realized that we didn't really have enough stock of local content or Indonesian-made movies and something like that. So we try to always find something and use something, but it's not like when you need to have your own movies, right? So we did 2019. Before that, we used to do like little film screenings with the community and stuff. And then in 2019, we did Wasteless Films Weekend just to have a see, you know, like if people would like to have something like that more formally and stuff, and it's yes, indeed. And then we started having people contacting us through DMs that like, hey, you know, why Jakarta again? You know, we gotta have this outside of Jakarta. And then we had the COVID. And then 2021, luckily, we had a little window when we could do our Wasteless film series, and it's the same thing. The enthusiasm, people asking like, oh, why can't you just do it online because we're COVID? And
that's true.
so 2 years later, we're here with the Wasteless Films Festival, finally.
So this time you're going to have Indonesian film screen instead of foreign films, because there has been fabulous films about environment and about waste before. For example, The Trash by Jeremy Irons, and also the one made by Leonardo DiCaprio, and there's also Blue, the Australian one. So this time your lineup is going to be Indonesian documentaries on our waste problem?
So in June, we're going to have our Wasteless Films Festival.
Yes.
It's going to be screening imported documentaries still, because we still need those movies to show people here. Like, these are good movies, these are good angles, this is how you take movies and stuff. But in order to start that, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Filmmaking Workshop. So 2 days intensive workshop. We're inviting anybody, no age restrictions, because you know anybody should be able to make these movies.
Of course. What is age anyway?
Exactly. Don't get me started with about age.
Exactly.
So it's going to be intensive. We're going to be open offline, which is the best way to follow a workshop offline. You know, talk to the teachers directly and something like that. But because of the enthusiasm from people outside of Jakarta, we also have to have online, right? So we're opening online registration and offline registration. So they follow the workshop. We're going to have a little bit about the environment. That is the core, actually. And then we're also going to have them learn pre-production, production, and post-production. And then they're going to get 6 to 8 weeks to produce this short movies. And then they would...
Short meaning what's the duration?
Up to 5 minutes.
Cool. So it's like a reportage.
Yes. And then they will have 6 to 8 weeks to make the movies, right? They have to do the research and so on and so forth. And then they will be able to submit it. We'll choose 25 semi-finalists. And then from that, we'll choose 10 finalists. And then from that, we'll choose the best 3 movies that will have the awarding night at the film festival. Yay.
So it'll ultimately take place on the...
Yeah, so it's kind of like going up and up and up and
Right.
up. Yeah, we start in 2 weeks, and then slowly but surely we're
Okay.
gonna have the big party.
So obviously the ultimate goal for you is,
Yeah.
apart from the big party, is spreading awareness about wasting less. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, Marissa mentioned nowadays the landscape has changed, so to speak, with the fact that you're even opening for 25 entries, is just a testament to goes to show that Indonesians are more concerned about this problem as well these days. How have you seen the landscape changing just over the past several years alone, and your contribution towards it as well?
Well, when we first started, there was us and maybe one or two other organizations focusing on waste reductions. Now there's a gazillion of them in and around Indonesia, so that's very, very encouraging. But at the same time, the waste don't seem to go anywhere.
Sure, good point.
People still do the cleanups. Every month we hear something, every year we hear something, but at the same time you don't really see the waste going anywhere.
drop in the ocean.
They keep popping, right? You know, so the only way to do that is really the mindset, the lifestyle, right? Even when we do our workshops and explain, and then they would say, "Oh, it's so difficult," right? But if it's in your brain, if it has become a habit, you don't even think about it, right? Like you just do it, and then your friend notices, like, "Oh, you're so green,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't think about it because it's part of your life.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we want people to get to, that stage of it has become an automatic thing without thinking, right? Yeah, and then people ask, so why are you behaving like that? I said, I don't know, maybe my mother was always careful about consumption, right? So, and then I say that to my kids, and hopefully my kids will get that,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, hopefully one day we'll see waste less, or less waste, something like that.
Less waste environment.
There you go.
Exactly.
We could never get rid of it, but that's why we don't say zero waste. We say
Yeah.
waste to zero waste. There's so many ways to get there.
Yes.
And let's just try. We'll get there somewhere.
How do you counter what advertising is doing, though? I mean, because this is actually some sort of a war of getting people's attention, right? I mean, as long as advertising is still very rampant and they're everywhere on social media where our kids are interacting and stuff, people will always be encouraged to buy more instead of like living with less things, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is the problem. So what's your take on it?
It could be a problem if you see it a problem, okay? Media is always going to be there, right? We need media. We need media to help, good or bad, pluses or minuses. So how do we use and abuse the media now, right? So you can abuse it if you continue to broadcast the overconsumption.
Yes,
right?
which is a
Or-
lot.
Which is a lot, because you need to buy, right?
Yes.
Because we need to get the economy going and something like that, right? But they don't realize that if we are more mindful of our consumption, you are actually asking the producers to produce better quality products.
Hopefully, yes.
Better quality products require better design.
Yeah.
Better design lasts longer, but then it also require better quality materials. So in the long run, if you're patient, you actually make the same amount of money as economy, or maybe even more. So that's the goal. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Spend a little bit more sometimes. I mean, I've
Yeah.
started to do that as well.
I
implement
agree.
it,
Because
like-
of the background of the product,
Absolutely.
right?
Find out about the company and support the products that are doing better for our Earth. So,
Right.
So let's segue back to the film festival itself. Obviously, you mentioned this will be done offline for the very first time since the pandemic.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from this year's festival, then, lineup-wise?
Mindful parties.
Okay.
Ooh, what's that?
What is
I
that?
like what
Yeah, mindful
how it
parties
sounds.
meaning you go to a movie house, please bring your own tumbler and something
Cute.
like that.
nice.
Yeah, and then buy your latte, buy your water or whatever, using your reusables, and then we'll see. We're still trying to work with the movie house, like, can you provide popcorn in reusable, containers and something
Is this
like
going to
that.
be with the big cinema chains?
It should be with one of the big cinema chain instead of like the indie homes, because we're trying to, make sure that it's out there. And and sometimes the thing is, like, we try to do things quietly, and then you are definitely quiet, right? So that's another thing we also realized, that here in Indonesia, you have to be a little bit louder. So let's use media.
Yeah, especially for the right causes.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of loud people out there for the wrong causes. Absolutely.
Okay, Marissa.
By the way, I would love to go to this because we're normally
You can slap me,
encouraged.
Marissa, if I'm loud for the wrong reasons.
No. You are for the right reason,
Definitely
girlfriend.
on the opposite side.
Yes.
By the way, I was mentioning normally we're discouraged from bringing our own tumblers. We're usually like hiding it in my kids' stroller. But now
Why is that?
Well, because they want you to buy their
Yeah.
non-reusable stuff for their.
Then don't go there. Find another movie house that allow you to bring your own tumbler.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally.
Stand on your ground saying, I'm watching this movie with my own tumbler.
My much less expensive beverage.
Exactly.
I will buy more tickets if you allow me to drink here with my own tumbler. Yeah, that way.
So the Wasteless Film Festival, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be the third year.
This is the third
This is the third year.
Iteration.
Wasteless films.
Right.
Yeah.
So it means that usually people would do some sort of evaluation. They sort of feel out what the audience felt when they were watching the film. So what were the reactions from people watching the film? How impactful was it on their lives?
Yes. From the informal film screenings that we did in the past, they would always come home with like, wow, I gotta do something. I have to change, right?
That's true.
And then hopefully that will stay. And then I do know with some of them it stayed because then they actually became the zero waste influencers. You see
that's
them
great.
on IG, they're thriving and they're talking, right? And then when we started doing the more formal one with the Wasteless Films weekend first, it was pretty good. We had, the most was about 30 people came. And then we always have to do movie discussions.
After, fantastic.
Yeah, afterwards. So, and then from the movie discussions, and then sometimes we actually had to stop because time's up and something like that. So it made them think.
Yes.
Right? That's what we want.
Yes.
They get something, they make them think, and they go home, they can't sleep for a few days because they want to do something about it, right? Like the movie Trash that you say, that's from Jeremy Iron. Even until now, when I watch that, it haunts me for at least 7 days because like, okay, I got choked up a bit. But that movie is so powerful for me. And then the Wasteless Film series, because it was during pandemic, it wasn't, it could have been better, but even the few people that was there, I could tell that they're like, and we did have a couple of movie discussions afterwards.
Yes, that's very important.
Then you could tell from the questions that they really like want to do something. And there's only that much you can do. Like, okay, you provide something and you tell them something, and then you're hoping they would go home with something.
Yeah. That's true. And it's amazing the power of films actually in changing the way we think, because I remember when I started to become more plant-based, it was because of a documentary that I watched on Netflix about, basically the benefit of plant protein instead of animal protein, makes you healthier. And even though I was a vegetarian for about 2 years, and then I stopped being vegetarian because I was too skinny, even until now, mostly I'm still plant-based, with the occasional eating fish or chicken. And also what happened to, you remember the documentary Minimalism?
Yes.
On Netflix as well? That also changed me. So I totally agree with you.
The eye-opening one for me was Inconvenient Truth. Like you mentioned like
Yes.
a movie that sticks with you for days after.
Yeah.
It leads me back to, that was the first one for me. Like that, oh yeah, after I watched that, I did
Yeah.
think for a few days.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much more content like that these
Yeah.
days. That was just one film and it was kind of an anomaly for the time.
And it does change your behavior a little bit.
Absolutely.
Even
That's
though
what
if it's just a little
started
bit.
to change
Yeah.
my behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it takes a lot more time after that. I remember the changes I made after that were very minimal compared to how I live now. And now I haven't even, gone as close to as far as I would want to go.
Yeah.
So the ultimate goal of Wasteless is, I guess, to not only make people aware, but start making those first steps.
Yes.
Yes, it should be for all levels. For people who are ignorant, hopefully it will trigger them somehow, one of their buttons in the
Okay.
brain, right? And then for beginners, it should help them like, okay, I can keep going, right? Get them more enthusiastic because it is hard to change your lifestyle. It is hard to change your mindset, right? But hopefully with this, allow them, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. There's so many people having the same issues, right?
And you got to feel
In
the
changing.
benefit, right? Because
Right.
the change will last when you really feel the benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally. And even the experts, they should be able to get something out of this because the plan is we're going to have a total of 28 movies screen.
Wow.
Woohoo!
So help me
Hang
God.
on, 28 films, including
7
the.
days. Including 10 from the finalists.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So 18. So help me God, I can finish all this in time for us to
You can.
see.
Do you have the dates already? I know that you mentioned June.
Yes, first week of June.
First week of June. All right. And you're going to announce that on
You're all
social media.
invited. Get ready with your red carpet
I'll
moment.
have the Tumblr ready.
Do not buy new clothing. Please wear whatever you have.
Awesome.
Or if you want to make something, make from scrap fabric.
This is so counterintuitive to any other kind of film festival that you think about, right? You're always thinking, ooh, how glamorous can I get?
No.
So awesome.
Yes, it has to be glamorous in a natural way.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You cannot-
like that.
You cannot come fake.
Okay, so
You cannot come fake. Oh, I love that.
We're gonna sniff you if you're fake.
yeah,
That's fake.
yeah. Wouldn't be
You can't
surprised.
be fake.
Anyway, thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank you for
We're
having
very
me.
much looking forward to it. Thank you. For
Yes, this is so awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you.
to Wasteless Films Festival coming this June.
This June, first week of June. So if you want to know more about this Wasteless Film Festival, what's the IG again, Maureen?
Waste
Underscore-
less
yes.
underscore films.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, there. That's your IG.
Oh, and the registration to participate in the workshop is also there.
Okay,
All right,
it's also
still
there
open.
Yep,
on
yep,
the
still open.
Instagram. All right, now we are up for another show break. In the meantime, don't forget to follow our social media accounts if you haven't already. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube with a handle @CTodayNews. Stay tuned. Thank you.